G'day guys, welcome to a new video. Now, we're going to do things a little bit differently today because we've actually shot the walk around for the Lowdown 13 Escape. But I was thinking through what we did the other day, and Mavo and I had a bit of a chat, and I thought that we needed to do a little bit more because we need to point out the uniqueness of this particular van to absolutely anything that we've tested before and anything in the Jawa range. So the first thing I want to point out is the travel height of the Lowdown 13 when you're traveling between point A and point B. So really quickly, let's have a look here. We've got Barry sitting at the highest point at about 2.2 meters, which is exactly the same height as the Lowdown 13. Now really quickly, looking up there, you don't see anything that you're normally going to see on top of a Jawa other than some solar panels. So you're not seeing a dust reduction system, and you're not seeing a roof mounted aircon, which is going to sit up about 400 millimeters higher than the traditional roof. You're also going to see that the roof profile is lower, meaning that there is a more pop top section of PVC wrapping around to achieve the 2.2 meters or the travel height of this particular van. Now, we'll talk about it a little bit later, but this is perfect to make sure that this van sits in a standard size garage. Now, the next thing that I want to point out is this Gusto dust reduction system. So as I said, there's no normal Dometic DRS sitting on the top of this particular van. We've got this new piece of kit that we haven't used before. So on the Lowdown 13 Escape that we're in, we've got the Gusto sitting on the side of the van. Now this Gusto unit is actually engineered to run up to probably 25 foot van. So in a really short 13 foot platform, this thing absolutely cranks the positive air. Now when you look at the layout of this van, considering it's such a short platform, and we've also got a bump out bed on the back, if you were to think about completely ideal positioning, you'd probably want this on the front half of the van. But because we've got our ensuite, because we've got our toilet, because we've got our tunnel boots and our generator slide and that sort of thing, the guys of Jawa have had to work within this platform, and they've worked on getting this side mounted DRS system in the position where it is now. So what we're going to do is walk around to the van, because we've got a beautiful big long stretch of dirt road here that we're going to test this thing out properly. But let's go in and sit in the van, and we'll turn it on and see just how much air this thing will crank. So it's going to look a little bit awkward that I'm sitting in the van with the roof down, but because we're about to drive this big long stretch of dirt road, I just want to demonstrate how you switch this thing on. Now the first thing you're going to have to think about when you've got a mechanical system like this, rather than the positive air pressure like an old Dometic DRS, is you've got to remember to turn the bloody thing on. So here we are. I'm just going to turn it on. Now it just runs through its startup. It says clean filter, but the filter is virtually brand new. Maybe I'll put the camera in here. And the system is starting to prime up now. So I'm just going to come over here, and you can feel the air pressure, and you can probably hear the air pressure as well, really starting to crank out. And that's going to push positive air into any crevices or any places where potentially dust may come into the van. So quickly, let's go and have a look and have a listen to what it sounds like now that we've switched it on the outside of the van. It is really cranking the air through this van. As I said, engineered probably up to a 25 foot van, so massively over engineered for this, but I've got a pretty good feeling that this is going to keep the dust out, even though we can't achieve that roof mounted DRS. Now really quickly guys, one of the things about this unit is that it's going to put the price of the van up a little bit, but we're still managing to achieve a DRS, even though we're achieving the low profile, which is going to help in many storage situations with this particular van. This unit actually retails at around $1,850, and that's just for the supply of the unit, which is opposed to around 640 bucks, which is the recommended retail for a Dometic DRS. 3 times more expensive, and then you've also got the install, and as we've just demonstrated, it also needs to be connected to the 12 volts, so it's going to be a little bit more complex. All right, so we've locked the van up, And now we're going to give this thing a really good test. Now, just before I go, something I forgot to mention a tiny bit earlier, because of that low profile and the travel height being very similar to the car, we reckon we're saving about 1.5 litres to what we would be against a similar sort of weight van with that extra height on it. So not only are you thinking about having to spend a little bit more on this van to get that dust reduction system, but you're going to save it over the long run and then some by the fuel economy that the lower profile gives you as well. So let's go, maybe.
Alright, so we've done about 25 k's of dusty roads. Let's check out the van, see what the dust reduction system's done.
You look cute in your leopard skin pants.
I can hear it. Boy, she's looking good so far.
Run your finger.
No, there's no difference,
Wow.
which is fantastic. Absolutely no difference, no dust. That's what we like to see. We don't like to see the dust, do we?
No.
No. So there you have it. It's done its job, which is awesome.
All right, cool. So that's one big tick in the box. Let's get on to the rest of the walk around. Two reasons that we're really excited about this video. Number one, this is actually the first van that attracted us to Jawa way back in around 2019. We saw this being advertised, and that's actually what drew us to Jawa, and who knows where 5 years could lead you, but here we are. And the other thing that we're really excited about with this van today is it is a very different van to anything that we have tested in the range, and we'll point out those key differentiators. Now, the first thing that we need to think about with this particular van is that it is designed very differently. And the reason it is designed very differently, and the main reason that you'd probably consider this van, other than the size of it, if it's really, really perfect for you, is the fact that this van is only 2,200 millimeters high when it's at its travel height or when it's fully packed down. Now, what does that mean? It means that this van at 2,200 high and 5950 long, from the back wheels all the way through to the drawbar, or the end of the drawbar where the hitch is, means it will fit in a standard 6x3 garage. Now, you might be thinking, well, why is that important, Ant? Well, the reason that that's important is this van could save you thousands on storing your van at a facility, whether it's undercover or not, because you can actually store this at home in a standard size garage. The other thing that you can do with this van, because of the travel height, is you can get it down under normal sized eaves. So a standard height eave is set at 2400 or probably 2340 when you consider the fascia and that sort of thing. So this van is low enough to be able to get down the side of a house, store out the back where in your backyard if you've got storage space, or even get it to a shed that you've got in the backyard and that sort of thing. So that there's just some really big considerations. Now, let's just say conservatively, you're spending $50 a week to store a van. When you're storing a van, even when you take the van out, considering how many people are storing vans these days, you've got to continue to pay that. So let's look at 50 times 52 is $2,600 a year that you're potentially saving by making a decision on the Lowdown. Now, for me, that is the primary reason that this van is lower. But there's also some considerations that you've got to make, and I like to call them payoffs that add into that value equation, and I'll point them out as we move around the van as well. To get it that low, but to have it so jam-packed full of features in this 2024 model means that your price point is going to be slightly higher than other vans of similar size in the Jawa range as well. So I just wanted to get that all out on the table, and I'll talk to it as we move around the van. So let's go, maybe. You'll automatically see it's a bump out bed, and it is a lower bump out because I can't usually touch the roof on these things. So that is your first consideration in terms of the payoffs, and we'll show you what that looks like inside. I'm going to crouch down here really quickly, Mavo. We've got our dual spares, as standard for a really off-road van. We've also got, and you can see me plugged in here, external connection or input to the DC-DC for our soft panel. So pretty standard configuration. One thing I will point out really quickly, you've also got individual swing arms on these tyres. The reason I like that is for the dual ones that used to run on these vans, there's a lot more weight at play. So a lot more consideration when you're going down bumpy country roads or corrugations and those sorts of things. I like the fact that the guys have gone to single swing arms for these particular things. What I like about the struts on this one as well is you can actually get to your bin bag. It's not super hard at pulling it up or pulling it down. You can actually set it to hover almost, and you can get to your bin bag. Probably wouldn't do it if there were goannas around because they're still going to get in. Oh, really quickly maybe. Beautiful big blacked out windows all the way around this van as well. Not quite as big as what you'll have seen on the full height Commander or even the Sirocco Grande, but still got these beautiful big windows to keep the airflow going when you get to camp and set up. All right, Truma instantaneous AquaGo hot water system. I'll let you have a look in there maybe. I don't think we've ever done this before. Nice and neat and tidy. We really come around on the instantaneous hot water. It's really nice to rock up to camp, particularly if you get there late at night and you just switch that on and away you go. Now, first big difference, and this is contributing to the price point, this is a high price piece of kit, but it's a really high quality piece of kit as well. But here is your outdoor unit for your Gusto dust reduction system. Great Australian company. We actually spoke to the owner on the phone a little bit earlier today, and I've seen caravans in action. I actually feel like the Gustos produce a bit more positive air pressure, at least in the examples that we've had. Now, this unit here is massively over-engineered for a 13-foot van, but that's good luck to anybody that orders this because it's going to keep dust out. What I mean by massively over-engineered, 13-foot van, you'd use the same unit on a 24-foot van with a lot more internal space. That's how much this is engineered for. Really, really quickly, outdoor shower, kick-ass shower tent as per standard with all your Jawas. 2 independently filled 100-litre tanks, independently filled and independently pumped, meaning that you've got 2 separate pumps. No need to swap valves over once one water tank runs dry. And the other thing I really like about independently filled and independently pumped tanks is that it allows you with your weight distribution, if you're not going to carry both of them full, to work out, you know what, I've got a bit too much weight on my ball, so what I'm going to actually do is use the rear tank rather than the front tank depending on how much water you need to carry and that sort of thing. A really, really good innovation. You can also independently fill your grey water tank. Now, that's really good if you want to clean it out, because when Mavo's hair gets stuck in there, it gets a bit stinky after a while. But it's also another thing that you could use for a bit of ballast if you got too much on the ball. You can put a bit of weight in here to travel, dump it out when you get to camp. Just little bits and pieces that we're starting to think, oh, you know what? I don't know why that's there. Oh, maybe that's why it's there. So it makes for a bit more use. All right, where are we? Oh, standard mains in. We've got a TV aerial input here, and I'll show you why we've got that in a second. Standard toilet hatch, pretty boring, not very exciting at all. Let's get to more exciting stuff. Oh, standard 12-volt electric actuators, which you've got on all of the models, but really, really handy when you've got that stuff working. And in here we have our generator slider. I'm not running a generator this weekend. We've just got the block and shock kit, a handy drawer here. I'm just storing our hoses in there so we know that where they are. And then we've also got access, not to a full tunnel boot, but as you can see, a tunnel boot that's large enough to hold our Ziggy Nomad. Got our, I had my chainsaw in here earlier. I've got our broom in here. Plenty of room to put more stuff in there too. It goes up actually quite high. All right, I'm going to demonstrate why there's an aerial in on the side of the van. All right, so here's our next big difference for the Lowdown. Now, knowing that we've only got our solar panels on the roof, 600 watts of glass solar panels, well, there's no TV aerial up there. So what do we got? We've got an Aussie-made digital TV antenna, and I'll show you how easy it is to set up. Just chuck that down there. Set your little nippers up, and then it's just like putting PVC pipe together. Okay, slide that in there, slide that in there, you get maybe with the prongs, and then if you're probably a bit taller, this wouldn't be an issue, but I slide it on here, get it down there, then I clamp it on, and then because you need a bit of pressure on this, I climb up on the rock slider, snap her into position, twist her around, grab your cord, and then, oh, if you can open that, slide that in there, tighten her up, and Bob's your uncle. So about probably 60 seconds added to your setup if you're wanting to use the TV. However, there's something really cool about the TV that maybe we'll show you on the inside in a second. So again, just another point of difference to any other van in the Jawa range, because we're needing to keep that low profile, haven't got a standard TV aerial like you see on all the other vans. Let's get on to the front. All right, so here we are at the front of the van, pretty standard across all of the Jawa range these days. These toolboxes are almost identical. So I'll show you what is in here. Got a big double jerry can holder here. Now, just want to point out, we put these jerry cans in here for demonstration purposes. We're not carrying diesel, we're not carrying water in this jerry can, simply because we don't need to. We're not traveling uber off-grid and super long time being off-grid, but we've got them there just in case. So that's something that if you keep these full all the time, is obviously going to add pressure to your ball because it's right up the front of the van. Handy to have them. We carry these jerry cans in case we need them, but they're not full unless we're really going off-grid. Shut that down. In here we've got dual 9 kilo holders. We're only running one gas bottle again at the moment. We've got a little bit of extra stuff in there. There's room for the step. I've got my little mattock in there as well for cutting firewood. And then we'll come over to this side. Same as the other vans we've had in the 2024 range. We've got a nice big open toolbox. Bit of a mess in there at the moment, but we've also got our diesel tank, which holds 8 litres of diesel for our e-dispatcher diesel heater that's on the inside. We'll show you again in a second. Now, a couple of things I want to point out at the front here that are a little bit new. Check this light out. Well done, Scotty and Maddie. I think that was Maddie's idea. At least he's claiming that it was his idea. It's really, really handy at night time if you need some light, particularly if you've got your car parked here and you need to see what you're doing in your canopy and that sort of thing. Pretty standard drawbar, guys. It's a really nice length, but we've got our really well positioned tap with a stone guard on it here. We've got our Cruise Master DO35 hitch as per standard with all the Jawas, and the Arc Exo 750 jockey wheel. These things have never let us down, and we've been camping for a long time in these vans. Really quickly, the barbecue arm is set up here as well. Oh, I haven't got the arm set up, but we've got the clamp there. There's also an external bayonet here to run the little Ziggy's gas pipe down to. So very similar to all, and sorry guys, breakaway cable as well, pretty much standard on all of the Jawas. So let's move around to the business end. All right, there's a couple of little payoffs to mention here as well. The first one, our awning height is ever so slightly lower. And once again, because there is more PVC in the pop top, or more distance that this van travels to pop up, we're mounted off the solid side of the van here. So just a little bit lower. Now, I'm about 5'9". I reckon there's about a foot of space to that arm. So if you're over 6'9", you're probably going to have to think about the awning on this van, or maybe even modify it for the 270 awning or something like that, which sits up just that little bit high, but there's not many of us that are 6'9". Now, I'll pull this out. You'll notice different to the Stealth 12, we haven't got as much room in here, but we still fit the 96 litre Evercool Series 2 down under fridge, freezer, freezer, double freezer, double fridge, and you can independently turn off zones as well. We haven't got that drawer at the top like we did in the Stealth 12, but we've still got these awesome slide out pantries, room enough for a crab boiler and another big saucepan, plus assorted utensils, all of our miscellaneous stuff that we like to travel with in the top here. So lots and lots and lots of space. Now, oh, I better push this in. We've got a little pole boot just to the side here. That runs all the way through. You could fit some fishing rods in there. We've got the anti-flap kits in there at the moment. The winder for the awning and that sort of thing goes in there. I'm going to keep you in suspense around this one because it's a bit exciting. All right, let's move around here. Pretty standard. We've got our little drop-down table, a little bit smaller than on some of the other models, but what I do like is that there's some internal space here, a really handy GPO power point, and some charging points here as well, and a 12-volt socket. I'll switch that on for you maybe. And an outdoor output for that TV as well, so you can bring the TV outside, pulling it from the inside and mount it on that bracket there, and the aerial runs in there. So pretty handy use of space. All right, another payoff that you will notice is Jawa are so well known for these beautiful Galley outdoor pantries. We've got a small one on the Lowdown, but it is significantly smaller than any of the other vans that we've had. Could be a slight problem, but I'll show you something that fixes it in a second. We'll just have a look over here. Standard, we've got our drying rack, our sink, we've got our 4-burner hob, all in the long, more traditional hybrid style pull-out kitchens. So not this individual sink and burner hob like you would see on a Sirocco or a Commander, but there's less space on this van. I actually like the fact that the guys are still using these pull-outs because it doesn't encroach on as much of your outdoor space. Now, small pantry, check this out. I'm just going to unpin that door maybe, just so you can get into it. Oh shit, it's locked. Oops. Check this out. Oh! That is some innovation.
Get those out of the way.
I might eat them later.
Yeah.
So when I first saw that tunnel boot on the other side and thought, oh, I really love those all the way through tunnel boots, I am in love with this configuration because you saw that we've got enough room for the Ziggy Nomad over here, but this becomes your second pantry in lieu of the smaller space that you've got in the Galley. Now, as you can see, we've got a whole heap of stuff in here and Mabo's chips. And to be really honest, we're fully packed for longer term travel, even though we're not that far from home at the moment. But there is enough space in this van, I would say, to travel indefinitely. For people like us who have learned how to pack relatively lightly and that sort of thing, we've got a full-size fridge, we've got this beautiful pantry here, we've got the small galley here, so we've basically got everything we need. All right, let's get into the van.
So welcome to the inside of the Lowdown. When I saw this in the showroom, I couldn't wait to take it out because I was quietly surprised when I walked into it how much space is in here and the cabinetry. It just blew my mind. So come and have a look. So as you come through the door, you have all this floor space. You have one single seat, yes, but as I was sitting on over here, you've got another little, I don't know, little nook here as well. I like it. You have a very generous sized bed here. I think it's slightly bigger than a queen because we've got our mattress topper on here and it doesn't quite go to the end. So I think it's in between a queen, king. We have king linen on our bed. Let's talk about storage. That's the one thing I love about this van also. So under the sink here, Ant, we have plenty of storage here. So I just keep the laundry stuff down there. I've got the toilet goods here.
Easy access to the 12 volt too.
Yeah. And then you've got a lovely little handy sink, but a great bench space once that's put down. I'll show you that in a minute. Let's continue on with the storage. So over here, we've got all this cabinetry. I've put Ant's clothes in this side and my clothes over here.
Notice which one's fuller.
Now we've just got underwear and stuff which I covered up. You don't want to see my knickers. And just bits and bobs. My target mirror, sunscreen. And then in here, it's kind of become the extra pantry, linen, and a bit of tech stuff. And then our tech drawers, which are always messy.
Not that messy.
And then that one. And then down here isn't quite as long as the other drawers, so it becomes quite handy for your keys. And then over here, I should have cleaned that up, our shoes. You just throw them in there. Okay, so I'll show you, I'll pop the lid down and I'll show you the generous size bench without cutting my bananas in half. Generous size bench, which has a really nice flow along. The pantry's underneath here from outside, and you could pop your drinks on here. You could even pop your dinner plate on there. And you've also got a really handy charging port for your mobile phone, which is really cool. Also, the other thing I wanted to talk about was you've also got your USB ports here and your 12 volts, and that's exactly the same over the other side. Handy little bed lights as well. Now, let's talk about this bed. So, with a Lowdown caravan, the nook for the push-out bed is smaller than most vans or all of the Jawa van range. But there's a compromise, right? You get to store the van in a normal garage port area because it's so low. But then you also have a low push-out section. So to negate that, what Ant and I do is we sleep up the other end. All right, so you also got two very well positioned Ranger fans. And what's really cool in this van is your Jawa Google Smart TV. What I love about this is I have never seen one of these remotes before. It connects straight to the Wi-Fi on the Starlink, so I can watch all my favorite shows on Netflix, Prime, you name it. For Ant, he loves his KO, so it's really cool. We'll have to show you that later. So let's move on to the ensuite. So you've got your standard size ensuite in here with your black tapware and the toilet, the little nook above the toilet as well, which we absolutely love. And in this van, you also get a full-length mirror minus the head.
It might be good for me.
And the other great thing I love about this van is more bench space up here. So it holds the laundry basket, the bin, you know, bits and pieces, my wine. So it's just a fantastic van in terms of wider space, bench spaces, and cabinetry for all your clothing and bits and pieces.
All right, so there are a few little tweaks and changes as well on the inside that are different to any other van in the range to allow for that 2200 low profile. So come over here for me, Mavo. We showed you that Gusto dust reduction system on the outside. Here is the inside controls. Now, really key point of difference with the Gusto, it's a beautiful, high quality and expensive for that matter piece of kit, but you have to switch it on. So if you are coming from a van that's had a Dometic DRS or something like that that is only positive pressure, you just got to remember to switch it on. Over here we've also got our inside controls for our Enerdrive inverter, and that's a combo 2000 watt inverter with an 80 watt AC charger in there, so it cranks in those amps when you're plugged into mains power. We've also got the ePro just sitting here to give us the health of the battery and that sort of thing. Really quickly, Furion head unit, guys, I don't talk about this much. Standard in the Jawa range, really high quality. We don't use them a great deal, but good quality piece of kit, particularly if you like your tunes. Now I'm going to quickly swing over here. Now, another thing that is different on this van is there's no room on the roof for an air conditioning unit that sits up another 450 mil. So we've got an underbed, a Truma Sapphire underbed air conditioner, which cranks out the cool air. We haven't tested it in a living environment yet, but we will do that, and we'll drop some footage in of it all working when we get an opportunity to do that. Now down here as well, you've got your controls, indoor controls for your eBispatcher diesel heater. This is where your diesel heat comes out. You've also got some vents there for the positive pressure to flow from that dust reduction system. Just some sensors here for that AC unit. We've got some more USB charging points here, a double GPO, another 12 volt socket, all your main circuit breakers there, and another speaker. So, absolutely awesome van. The last thing, we'll put some driving footage in here as well, is really quickly, slightly different on the underneath of this van. Only slightly. We're using Lovell shock absorbers, which are slightly shorter travel than what we've got in the other vans, and again that is designed just to keep that profile down. But we've also got those off-road brake magnets and those Koyo Japanese bearings. So in terms of towability and safety and that sort of thing, top quality product sitting underneath this van, just slightly lower travel, all around that low down spirit that we've been talking about.